So I got another boxwood I've been playing with. I got those two small ones that I did the video on the one, and then I went ahead and trimmed back the other one, and then I started working on this one. It's a bigger one. This one was $20. It was pretty full. It was a pretty substantial trunk here, and then I've also taken off a couple of branches. Here is all I've done because I was playing with this, you know, looking at, I decided that I thought that that was going to be the best looking front, but probably coming out of a pot at some kind of angle like that. But it was like, God, this is just got absolutely no character and no taper. So do I cut it back to here and basically start over with another? I mean, it's basically then going to be the size of my little trees that I got for $4, and it seemed like, I mean, I guess I could do it. It'd be fine to have another small tree with a bigger trunk, but the more I played with it, the more I thought that I'd try maybe a cascade. Actually, that's not it. It's this angle here. I'm thinking if I could get it coming out of the pot about like that, you know, I'm thinking that this is going to have to stay on for now, because I plan on putting it into a pot today. And if I just completely decimate the top of this, I think I'm probably going to kill the tree. So most of it's going to stay on, but eventually I'm thinking that most of it will come off. So that's the plan. This is totally the wrong time to do this. I shouldn't be doing this. So since I want it to be in the pot, pretty much want an angle like this here. I need to work the top of this off. Just make sure that I don't have any substantial impediments. So with the cascade style, typically it can go in a little bit deeper, narrower pot, and I didn't have any of those. Of course, I was all jacked up to get this done after I decided to do it this way. So yesterday I took a little trip over just to the Goodwill, which for those of you that may not be familiar with Goodwill, that's basically a thrift store. You can take everything over there and drop it off, get rid of it, and they'll resell it. So I picked up 3. There was only 3 pots that looked like they might work for this thing. I grabbed 3 of them. None of them had holes. So I worked on those a little bit yesterday when I got back before I had to go to work. I'll show you a real quick clip of that, and you can see kind of how I ended up preparing those. All right, so that's just kind of how I did those pots. You know, all three of those pots only cost me $8. Well, they're kind of bland and they don't have a ton of character, but they're a pretty quick, cheap solution to a problem. That big white one doesn't have any feet, so that one's probably not going to get used for this tree. Essentially, you know, I just wanted to, when I decided how I wanted this thing, I wanted to get it growing at that angle this year as fast as I could. I've got a lot of feeder roots on this, so I've been working this, trying to work this flat. I think I'm just going to be aggressive with it and hope that I've got, by the looks of things, I've got lots of feeder roots that I'll be able to work into the pot. Again, I know this is like completely wrong time of year for me to be doing this. We're hot, but I'm banking on the fact that it's kind of a relatively young tree. I think. I don't know. Maybe somebody else can comment, but I'm thinking that it's probably been growing to be sold for, you know, it could be 10, 12 years maybe by the size of that. I think Boxwood is a really slow grower. But I should have plenty of root that I can work down into that pot. And I'm using the chopstick, I'm not using a rake. I know if I was putting this in a normal pot, I'd just be like taking a saw and hacking off half of this, and I'd be doing it at the right time of year. But since I'm right in the middle of summer, I am trying to be mindful and save everything that I can. Don't know if I could use that root. I might be able to get this one down into the design, but this one, yeah, I'm just not sure yet. I'd like to keep my long fibrous feeder roots that I could work into the pot, but if I've got thick, coarse roots growing up, I'm gonna take those off. I can build at the top of this planting though. I can put a mound here of a sphagnum wall using the sphagnum moss and some soil. So I may end up doing that. And I'm gonna get this going down here now. Start getting rid of some of these. I'll bring you back when I got some more progress on it. So I'm getting closer. At first I thought I wanted to put it into this little pot. Coming off of that lip. I like this rounded. But I think I'm gonna go with this one. I'm not real crazy about the color. But I think I can fold more of those roots down into there. It's gonna be stuffed in there. I'm not sure that's the best play. I mean, I know the big white one would be probably the best for the tree to recover. I'm going to work towards this one. I need to get my width down a little bit. I didn't want a bare root. I like to leave some portion untouched. Not real keen on that root. I've got quite a bit coming off of this. Just kind of slowly exposing what I think can be cut off. Not looking for any kind of a wide expanding lateral base of roots on this. It's not that style. Mostly I'm just looking to get it the angle that I want. Going to be really difficult to work soil. I'd like to have more room in the back. think something about like that. Aeration layer. This is the big stuff. Now my soil, I've got sifted down 1/16 to 1/4. I left the little stuff in. I'm not sure. I don't want to put too much in because I don't have a lot of room in the pot. And give myself just a small little cone. I like this front here. I want to keep the speckles. And I know it's not like the forever pot for this tree. I'll probably have to break it to get it out of here when I repot it. But we'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take more root off the bottom. So I need to get some soil in here before I attempt my hold down method that I'm going to try. I'm going to use a couple of pieces of bamboo, try and anchor across this root base down here beneath this lip of this pot. I just think it is going to be sufficient. And I thought it'd be easier to do than running wires up through the root ball with this pot. But I've got to get some soil, the bulk of it, in and around this thing, and I think I need to get it worked in pretty well even before I attempt it, because once I get them in there, I'm not going to be able to get a chopstick into this system. I got some updates while I'm messing around with this potting. I'll run a little clip on how some of the trees are doing and show you how my gall problem's working out on the oaks. This is that little sarissa that rat took care of, completely defoliated. And he did a way better job than I could have. Really had some energy stored up and seems to be doing just fine. So this is Olive. It was really suffering in that box that I made. I did a video on it, and so I went ahead, took a chance, put it in a pot, got some decent top dressing on it, put it in some decent soil. I think it's going to have a better balance of water and oxygen, and hopefully it'll recover. I think I blew it on the bottom of that box. My drainage was lousy. The bottom of the tree was wet all the time and seemed really anaerobic. So know these things can be handled in the heat of summer, and so I just took the chance and went for it, and it still looks pretty bad, but hopefully it'll recover. The white ash is looking good, pretty healthy. That's an aspen grove behind it. I think I've got 4 trees alive, but yeah, they don't look very good. I don't know if they've got a disease or if they just don't like the heat and the low altitude. They're an alpine species. This is the Monterey cypress that I kind of tried to rescue. And it seems to be happy in the pot. I want to get it healthier before I really do anything more major, but looks like it's growing well. I took most of the wire off my Chinese pistache and did some branch selection on it. It's pretty happy. Yeah, when I initially wired this thing in that video, I was like wiring each one of these. I was wiring each one of these leaf petioles, and that's a fruitless effort. If you've got these petioles with multiple leaves on it like that, you're not going to grow a branch off of those. Took me a while to figure that one out, but those all drop off in the fall. This is a deciduous. My little maple has had some pruning, and it looks pretty happy. This is the European white birch, and I took some branch tips off of it, trying to get those buds to actually come to fruition. Did a little bit of partial defoliation. Nothing's really popping right now. Maybe it's the heat. I'm not really sure. But I kind of like the way it's looking structurally. And that little maple clump I did is looking healthy. Happy with that. And my Michelia needs to be worked on. It's putting out a lot of nice growth. And the willows are all growing well. They need to be cut again. I've been trying to stay on top of the willows this year. Everybody talks about random branch dieback, and Ryan Neal said cut them harder. So I've been trying to do that. This little Coast Live Oak is just flourishing. It's got a lemon behind it, Meyer lemon. But yeah, this oak just keeps on growing. This is the one I cut back in my June pruning. Little Procumbens juniper looks happy. This juniper's still growing even after I butchered it. Didn't even know what it was. This is Snowball out of my mom's front yard. Believe it or not, it's as old as I am. This sweet gum or liquid amber has got some strange looking crinkled up leaves. And the little oak there in the back is still growing well. My little bougainvilleas aren't growing as well this year as they have in the past. I left them out all winter. Leaves totally dropped, and I don't think that was a good idea, even if with our mild winters. But they're finally starting to push some growth and act like they're enjoying the heat. The Chinese elm's still alive. This is the one that I got the air layer going, and so I'm assuming it's growing roots. I hope. I ended up partially defoliating the oaks with the gall. This one really looks like it's pushing nice new leaves. Still got some couple nasty ones on it, but the dwarf wisteria seems okay with the work I did on it in that last video or a couple videos ago. And my biggest oak also was partially defoliated, and it's starting to look much better. Got new buds popping all over. This one as well. So they did have some energy stored up. I was kind of worried about them because I had been pretty severe with them when I repotted. This oak here actually kind of escaped the gall. Got a little bit, but not bad. I think I should probably partially defoliate and try and get a push. Tiny little Thuja occidentalis. My dwarf holly, I removed the wire on that one. I should probably do work. It's another small valley oak, growing well, pretty happy. Ficus benjamina, putting on really nice new growth. Really seems happy this year. I think it was cool with the wiring, and now I need to get in there and do some more work, of course. Always something to do. So my tree wants to lean that way. So I'm just gonna kind of make a strap for it. I'll start out a little long. Try and get a somewhat of a flush cut on that. You're not applying pressure with your offhand as you're chopsticking, then you're just kind of moving soil around. lot of the function of doing this is applying that pressure. Trying to follow the wall of the container down. Okay. Alright, now I just want to get some of this top stuff off of here. And I'm going to take some wet sphagnum and just really loosely kind of build a wall. Keep it loose. I've got some soil here that I took the 1/4 inch out of. This is going to give me a mound over the top of this that roots can grow into and that water won't like blow the soil out. This sphagnum will hold that and make a really nice wall that won't move around when I water. And this, I think I'm just giving this tree a little extra help with root growth up here on top by doing this. Just tidying up. And then just a top dressing. Sphagnum moss and live moss that's been dried out. And hopefully even here in our dry climate, I'll be able to cultivate a little moss on the top of this. Some of my trees are growing some moss, but even just the sphagnum on top helps to control the oxygen balance, the water and oxygen balance in the container. So even if I don't grow moss, I still feel good about taking this extra step. And it gives the roots on the top of the container something to grow into. And before I give it a real water, I'll just give it a mist so that when I give it some real water, it doesn't all just blow off. Now give it a real water. See how it does. Everything holding together nice and tight. Looks nice and clear.